movies you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Hey there everyone, my name is Beaton, and welcome back to my show on YouTube, Trash Can Tidbits. Last time I asked the question, true or false? Miles Braun in Glass Onion was directly based on Elon Musk. The answer is false. Many people assumed that when the film came out that Musk was the de facto inspiration, especially because it was around the time that he bought Twitter. While Rian Johnson used Musk as a partial inspiration, he said that the movie was made long before the Twitter buyout and therefore was not the main inspiration. The consensus was that Johnson just made Miles an overall arrogant jerk, and that could definitely be based on anybody. Now, with that addressed, let's get started with fact number 1. Did you know that the lead singer of the rock band Garbage got to play a killer android twice? Shirley Manson, best known as the lead singer of the Scottish alt-rock group Garbage, sang the theme song to the James Bond film The World Is Not Enough. She appeared in the accompanying music video as a robot fitted with a bomb who kills the real Shirley Manson, takes her place on stage, and the video ends with the bomb exploding. In the TV series Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, Manson once again played a killer robot, a T-1001 taking the appearance of a character named Catherine Weaver. The real Weaver is terminated by her robotic doppelganger in order to take her place and terminate Sarah Connor, John Connor, and their Terminator companion, Cameron Phillips. Fact 2. Did you know that for the movie Dick Tracy, there were plans for the title character to wear a makeup prosthesis? The film made the most elaborate use of makeup and prosthetics to transform all the actors into the colorful gangsters that the title detective chases down, and in fact, in the comics, Dick Tracy himself has a square jaw and chin. Warren Beatty, who not only played Tracy but also directed the film, gave himself a fitting with the jaw prosthesis and did several camera tests, but in the end, he decided it made him look silly and it was thrown out. Beatty was the only male adult cast member to not wear any major makeup appliances. Fact 3. Did you know that the original Star Wars action figure line was not available when the first film came out? Kenner Toys, who signed the licensing deal soon before the movie was released, did not know that Star Wars was going to be the huge success it was, and so were unprepared to deal out toys for the holiday season of 1977. What they ultimately did was sell a huge cardboard display called the Star Wars Early Bird Set, with a certificate inside where if you made out a form, you could have the first set of action figures mailed to you in the spring of 1978. So Kenner essentially originated the term pre-ordering. The earliest figures even had some special touches not seen in the original released versions, such as Luke Skywalker having an extra extendable lightsaber. Fact 4. Did you know that Timothy Dalton, who played James Bond in 2 films of the 1980s, was first offered the role way back in the 1960s? After Sean Connery left the role for the first time, and before George Lazenby was hired for Her Majesty's Secret Service, Dalton was one of the first names considered, and was in fact screen tested, but he turned the part down because he felt he was too young, being in his early 20s at the time. He continued to be offered the part on numerous occasions throughout the 1970s, but still turned it down, again feeling he was too young. Throughout Roger Moore's tenure as Bond, well into the 80s, Dalton was still considered but turned the part down again and again because he was doing other projects. After Pierce Brosnan was forced to decline the part for The Living Daylights due to conflicts with his TV show Remington Steele, Dalton was finally hired in 1987. Fact 5. Did you know that the choice to feature Drew Barrymore front and center on the movie poster for Scream was deliberate on the part of the film's director, Wes Craven? This was the same case for Alfred Hitchcock featuring Janet Leigh on the poster for Psycho, making audiences believe she was going to be the main character, when in fact she gets killed within the first 45 minutes. The same method would be used for Drew Barrymore's character of Casey, making audiences believe she was going to be the main character, but also kill her in the very first scene. This was to toy with the audience's expectations in that you think that the most well-known actor in your horror movie is going to be the hero, but you are sorely mistaken. This just goes to show that nobody, and I mean nobody, in the movie is safe. That's the ultimate nod to Hitchcock right there. As is known, Scream is filled from head to toe with all kinds of horror tropes and expectations. Too many to name here, unfortunately. Fact 6. Did you know that the original 1925 silent version of The Phantom of the Opera was filmed again with sound to take advantage of the popularity of talking films? Well, not all the movie was actually filmed again. Roughly 40% of it was filmed with dialogue and some of the original actors, such as Mary Philbin as Christine and Norman Carey as her love interest Raoul. Sound effects and a full music score was added as well. However, Lon Chaney, who played the Phantom, had signed a contract with MGM Studios at the time, and one stipulation was that he not be dubbed by another actor. So anytime we think we hear the Phantom speak, his dialogue is in the third person, as if delivered by a messenger, and only when we see his shadow. The film's re-release poster advertised the tagline, "Everybody speaks, except the Phantom." When Chaney finally did speak on camera, it wouldn't be until 1930. Go ahead and refer to Trash Can Tidbits episode 13 to know more about that. Fact 7. Did you know that Nintendo's Mario originally had a different name, and it wasn't Jumpman either? Shigeru Miyamoto originally wanted to call the character Mr. Video, and have him make cameo appearances in all the games he worked on, similar to how Alfred Hitchcock made cameos in all of his movies. Early iterations of what became Mario have indeed popped up in other early Nintendo games, but the arcade game Mario Brothers would finally give the character his name and his backstory. Mario has continued to cameo in other games that don't necessarily involve him, such as being the referee in Punch-Out! Similarly, Nintendo composer Kazumi Totaka has secretly inserted a simple 19-note melody in all the games he's worked on, such as Yoshi's Story and most notably Animal Crossing. This melody has come to be known in the gaming community as Totaka's Song. Fact 8. Did you know that Kate Capshaw, who played Willie Scott in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, essentially forced Steven Spielberg to cut one scene? In the movie, Willie spends a lot of time screaming, being placed in danger, and covered in bugs. One scene actually called for her to be bathing in a river and be attacked by a giant snake while Indy reluctantly tries to save her due to his fear of snakes. Capshaw herself ended up getting a huge panic attack after seeing the snake, and Spielberg saw this, took her aside, and said that he was going to cut the scene out. Capshaw joked that this is the reason why she would end up marrying Spielberg a few years later. To add one final reference to that deleted content, there is a scene where Indy, Willie, and Short Round are sitting around a campfire, and a huge python starts to dangle around her neck. Mistaking it for an elephant's trunk, Willie grabs the snake, throws it, and shouts, "I said cut it out!" Capshaw insisted on letting the real snake do that so she could conquer her fear. Fact 9. Sticking with Temple of Doom for this next fact, did you know that Kate Capshaw's lovely red sequin dress she wears in the opening nightclub scene was the only one made for the film? Allegedly, the dress was made with authentic 1930s red sequins, which meant that there was enough to make only one dress. However, the nightclub scenes were actually shot last, which meant that Capshaw didn't wear it until then. The dress was used as a prop on location in Sri Lanka, and during the shooting of the aforementioned campfire scene in that last fact, an elephant nearly ate it. Fortunately, there was enough sequins to have the dress repaired. Costume designer Anthony Powell had to submit the insurance forms to fix the dress, and all he could put down on the claims as to the reason for damage was, quote, "dress eaten by elephant." Fact 10. Going back to Glass Onion for this final fact, did you know that in the same scene where Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim cameo while playing Among Us, there's another actor in the Zoom call that later starred in a Rian Johnson project? Daniel Craig's character Benoit Blanc is friends with actress Natasha Lyonne, who has been featured in movies and TV shows ranging from American Pie to Orange is the New Black. Glass Onion director Rian Johnson created a TV show for Leone shortly after the release of the film called Poker Face. Streaming exclusively on Peacock, the show is a murder mystery in the style of Columbo, in which Leone plays a former professional gambler named Charlie Cale, who has a knack for solving mysteries due to her almost superhuman ability to tell when people are lying. Leone's cameo in Glass Onion is most likely a teaser to her then upcoming starring role. Her hair is even done in the style of her character on the show too. And here's today's trivia question. With the release of the movie Air, about the licensing deal to create the Air Jordan shoe line, the story of these iconic shoes puts a spotlight on the company that made it happen, Nike. You may be surprised to learn that Nike had a licensing deal for the 1989 Batman movie, bringing them even more exposure. You may not be able to make it out, but Batman does indeed wear custom Nike boots, despite the movie's overall 1940s aesthetic. My question is, what brand of Nike shoes did Michael Keaton's Batman wear in Tim Burton's Batman movie? And there we go for this episode. I really hope you liked what I brought you. I myself love writing these because I love learning something new and also some stuff I retained from my youth onwards, and then passing them on to you. Stay tuned for this and more fun stuff. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and boop the bell to be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.